Why Austin? What brought you guys here? What do you think of the ecosystem, especially when it comes to things like neurotech?
I'll say a lot of my reasoning is because of guys like this that were already here, and this ecosystem in neurotechnology in particular that was starting to form here in Texas. Now, whether or not like the impact of that ecosystem has been monumental on us or not is another conversation, I think. But there absolutely was like a perception of and a reality of all these neurotech founders and technology companies aggregating to one central place. And Austin is a very desirable place to live that, is becoming pretty expensive at this point, but still it's very easy to recruit people to come here. So I think you're surrounded by amazing people, and it's a desirable place that people want to come to.
There's only so long that people can eat ramen, and like you can't build every possible company with 19-year-olds who are willing to live on ramen for 10 years.
I think my kids want to eat ramen forever, but yeah.
We reached a point where we had been in the Bay Area for 3 years. We spun out of Stanford, and a lot of us were having our first kid, we're getting married, we're thinking about, life stuff. We're looking at, if you want to live in a good school district in the Bay Area, you better be ready to plop down like $2 million for a house with a leak in the roof. And it's like, it's not a place where you can live very easily if you're not rich already. We were all poor. And so like that works if you have a software company and you're like, oh, my software company is called Flaglugle, and it's spelled with no vowels, and we're going to sell to Google in like 18 months. That works. Like everyone just rents a house together, you do your thing. But if you're building something transformative, you're going to have a little bit more sustainability, and you're going to have a plan to weather a decade. We moved to Austin because it had this like amazing balance of it was still affordable and still to some extent is if you're willing to to
compared to other places. For sure.
I was going to say, if you're comparing
right?
to other places in Texas, maybe not so much, or the Midwest, you're comparing to New York or SF. Yeah.
Great tech ecosystem, great medical device ecosystem. People are willing to move here because it's culturally interesting. It has this feature where if you are 20 years old and you want to go to a concert every night, you can live downtown in like a 1-bedroom apartment and have a ton of fun. If you have a family and you need a little bit more balance, you need a good school district, you can live 30 or 40 minutes outside of the city and buy a house still for less than $500,000 in a really nice area.
To me, the biggest piece was like, is this a place that you can recruit people to come or not? In neurotech in particular, it's a somewhat niche field where you have these extreme experts who may not already be located in Austin, and they're usually not. And so you have to be able to draw talent from across the United States to come somewhere, and Austin is somewhere that people are generally very excited to come.
I will say we do have a Bay Area office where we hire machine learning people. It is very hard to get machine learning people to leave the Bay Area.
It's not to say that like Silicon Valley is dead by any means. Like
there's
still like, it is alive and well.
If you are building an AI foundational model, get your ass to Silicon Valley. That doesn't make any sense.
There's a big defense tech hub, even though Austin's pretty damn good at that too now. Yeah, I think we're bigger than the SF and defense tech. Yeah.
It's us and the gun.
Big names,
it's us and the gun. But the big names aren't actually, the big names aren't there. Anduril's in Southern California and
not the Bay Area. I mean, generally. Okay.
Yeah.
You're right.
So no, I'll give it LA and Austin. I think are the two big defense.
I would argue that Austin is the neurotech capital of the world right now.
It absolutely, definitively is. All the key players are in Austin or surrounding areas.
How does it work in practice? How are you seeing? Are you seeing for the investors? Are there more investors that are doing it here? We still need to be outside. The talent, is that starting to have a flywheel? Are you seeing people trading talent? Like, what does that mean in practice outside of just we've got a lot of the biggest names that are here, and then so that is getting...
It's easy to move people to Austin, and investors never ask why I'm in Austin. So I've never had any downside to being here. And I would say that being, in town with Connor and, having a number of other founders and a number of other companies here kind of going through this process, it definitely builds the community.
Also, like UT is really making a push into robotics, a lot of it, Apptronic and other companies happening. So I think that there will start to be an even more impactful ecosystem now that all of this is really becoming real, right? I think probably for sure when you first moved here, and then when I did as well, like it was still a lot of grind and early stage stuff and a lot of dreams, but now it's all becoming like very real with a ton of money being pumped into these companies, and they're all centered around here. So it's fantastic being here. But I mean, we've absolutely hired local individuals, but we've hired even more people from outside of Texas, and so recruitment is still key.
What is the talent that we don't have at scale that we need?
Artificial intelligence. I mean, like that's a key one, I would say. And then like medical electronics, right? Medical grade electronics. These are some really complicated, very miniaturized systems that you're building that require people with a lot of experience, right? And so I think if you're looking to hire a bunch of like entry-level engineers and things like that, then there's probably a great ecosystem here to do that. But you know, we're earlier stage, and every single hire really counts a ton.
So we're having some serious rocket ships happening now, whether what you say, like Aptronic, Saronic, Base. You know, when you raise $1 billion of you know, in your Series C, you can attract people. People are like, I'm going to move. I'll go for that.
We haven't raised nearly that much, and we've attracted a ton of people. Part of it is just because there are only 2 high data rate brain computer interface companies in the world, and both of them are in Austin, and we're the better one. So it's kind of easy to move people. But I think also people just want to come here. They know when you bring them out to visit, unless it's July or August, people
I understand the concept of summering now. When I got here, people are like, oh yeah, I go to Colorado, Wyoming, you know, for the summer. I'm like, what are you talking about? 110 degrees later. Yeah, I get it, you know?
Yeah, it's miserable. I agree. We haven't raised nearly that much money. And also we have the perspective of, we don't hire for the sake of hiring. We don't grow for the sake of growing, right? We try to only hire people where it really matters and it counts. And I think if you're doing really cool stuff that people are passionate about, like that's something that we don't have a problem with, and almost certainly you guys don't have a problem with, is finding like really dedicated engineers that are super passionate about what you're doing, who aren't necessarily joining just because it's a really big paycheck. They're joining because they really want to change the world and like have a positive impact on society. So they're coming to a freaking cool city to do really cool work. You know,
yeah, that's another thing that defines neurotech companies, is that recruiting is generally pretty easy because if you're working on like a heart catheter and someone says like, hey, I want you to come and work on a revolutionary prosthetic that takes signals from the muscle and lets you do like dexterous hand movements, you're going to go, that sounds pretty good.